Mr. Cox, did you get an email from Chrissy Maddox?
I did not.
Chromebook charges?
I did not. At least, let me see.
It was like this week.
I get to just move you around.
She's upset about,
Make the connection.
well,
That's
the only thing I can do.
her kids have lost a couple Chromebook charges. And the fee was added, but she said we should have been notified. Jason's gonna look into it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I did not get it.
She must have just emailed me.
Does he know you're waiting?
Oh, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the July 13th Xenia Board Meeting. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cox.
Here.
Mr. Day.
Here.
Mr. Ritchie.
Here.
Mr. Scott. Mrs. Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we need to approve tonight's agenda. Does anybody need anything withdrawn or pulled out of the agenda?
No.
No? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Sure. I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, Mr. Day, second.
I will second.
Okay, Mr. Cox, second. Okay, roll call, please.
All right, so to approve tonight's agenda, a first from Mr. Day, a second from Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Mr. Day.
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we're moving on to number 2 on the agenda, citizens address the board. Mr. Massey, do we have, okay?
Yes, sir. Mary Greck.
Good evening. North Xenia Community Schools Foundation is here to support students with scholarships and staff with classroom grants. We have been very busy this summer. First, I'd like to thank Steve Brodsky, Bethany Fuchel, and Scott DeHaven for their years of service to the foundation board. All have stepped down this summer to make room for new voices and new ideas. Next, the foundation board unanimously renamed one of our student scholarships as the James A. Smith Memorial Scholarship. It will be awarded annually. Jim Smith was a lifelong educator, mentor, coach, and leader. His impact on Xenia Community Schools and the greater Xenia community will be felt for generations. Dr. Smith dedicated 35 years to Xenia Community Schools. He served in a number of different roles, including teacher, coach, principal, intervention specialist, interim treasurer, business and finance director, and superintendent. With his leadership, the district experienced significant growth and improvement. Some of his accomplishments include opening of the Doug Adams Fitness Center, establishment of Veterans Field at Cox Stadium, transition to a middle school system, and significant improvements to district facilities. He retired as Xenia Community Schools superintendent in 2004. Dr. Smith was also dedicated to the service of the Xenia community. He received numerous awards from the community for his service. The foundation believes this is a fitting tribute to a man so dedicated to the pursuit of learning. In addition to the almost $60,000 in classroom grants for the 2026-2027 school year, we will be providing a $500 grant to each first-year teacher that is to be used for setting up their classroom. As a first-year teacher, the costs can be daunting to get their classroom ready for their students for the first time ever. Tara Palmer will oversee the above expenditure and approve the expenditures, which will go through the purchase order processor in this district. How are we able to do all of these things? Only with the support of the amazing community. Our next fundraiser is an All-American Barbecue held at the Devil Wind on September 15th. Tickets include 2 beverages as well as the meal provided by Nick's Restaurant, so you know it'll be good. There is music and a number of raffle items, all to support Xenia Community Schools Foundation, which again supports the schools. Tickets are $45. Go to the foundation website or message me for ticket information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Greck. All right, we're going to move on to number 3 on the agenda, the superintendent's consent agenda. Do we need anybody need any of those items pulled out of the agenda? Okay.
Nope.
Do you have a motion to accept?
I move to accept, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. I just have one discussion on this. Under letter E, we didn't need to pull it, but under letter E, volunteer, it does say that the following volunteers are recommended for the 25-26 school year, which needs changed to 26-27.
Sure.
And under pupil services, the high school marching band percussion instructor, that's Eli Shapiro, not Ed Shapiro. So I don't know who I need to tell to make those changes.
Yeah, we'll correct.
Oh, did you get them? Both of those? Okay, thank you. All right, roll call, please, to accept the agenda.
Yes, sir. So to approve the superintendent's consent agenda, a first from Mr. Cox, a second from Mr. Day. Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes,
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Ritchie, may I?
Sure.
I would like to introduce our new Tecumseh Elementary Building Principal, Mr. Newport. We had a vacancy. Mrs. Statzer decided to move closer to home. So we had a vacancy this summer as the building principal of Tecumseh Elementary, and you all just approved our new building principal. Mr. Newport, you want to come up and just tell us where you've been, where you're coming from, and we know you because you've been here before. Yep, you can talk here.
Yeah, so my name is Josh Newport. Next year will be year 20 in education for me. It'll be my 16th year in Xenia schools. I spent the last 4 years as a junior high and high school principal at Greenon. And although I value that role and that experience, I value being a part of this community more. And I am thrilled to be back.
Glad to have you back, Mr. Newport. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yep, glad to have you. All right. Okay, we're going to move on to number 4, presentation. And Dr. Lofton, if you want to introduce.
Yep, so I'd like to call up to the mic Mr. Kopp, who's our athletic director. Over the last few months, I know a couple board members have had a couple questions about our athletic programs. So I thought it probably would be a good idea, since we have new board members, to have Mr. Kopp do a presentation to really give you an understanding of the breadth and depth of all of our athletic programs across our school district. So without further ado, Mr. Kopp, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome, thank you. I'll go ahead and get started. I've always said since I got here my first couple years, Xenia has a great story to tell from its athletics perspective. Building on the past with great athletic programs from the 50s, 60s on up, and raising the bar for the future. Just an overview of the athletic department. It's an education-based athletic program led by impactful adults working to promote sportsmanship, competition, and personal growth for our student athletes through sport. We are an OHSA member school. The OHSA is our governing body. We are a member of the Miami Valley League. We are one of 10 members. We sponsor 24 varsity sports. We sponsor 13 middle school sports. And that year in, year out encompasses about 450 plus student athletes, some just playing one sport, some playing 3 or 4. And then we have 80 plus coaches through our 7 through 12 programs. I'm going to start with athletic facilities. Second to none in the state of Ohio, with the leadership of Dr. Lofton and the help of Operations Director, Mr. Vandergriff. We've been able to touch everything in our district. Obviously, Warner is brand new, but the football stadium, basketball, volleyball gym, baseball field, softball field, weight room have all had upgrades in the past 18 months. Some of those are as simple as refurbishing the dugouts at the softball field to adding a new video board in the high school gym. And then here's just a few pictures of some of the things that are new and obviously look great for our community. And the picture on the left there is the new video board. Actually, that is a video board. Instead of getting rid of it, we repurposed it from the stadium. It was only 2 years old. So it now serves for basketball, volleyball, and then that's a picture when we do our signings at the high school. We're able to put up our kids that are signing where they're going. The middle picture there is with the help of the trust, the Weebucks, and fundraising efforts from the baseball coach Brandon Salyers, we were able to redo the infield surface of the baseball field, put nice brick backstop and professional netting. And then on the right-hand side, the baseball and softball fields both got brand-new inning-by-inning scoreboards recently. To kind of peel back a little bit, the expenditures and where the money goes, we run a needs-based budget. So what are our needs? They're critical equipment, such as balls, football helmets, uniforms, things like that. The athletic department pays for things that are used over the course of several years and can be turned back in. So for example, something that is not, I guess it gives you an example, like a baseball hat. We're not going to put a baseball hat on a kid and say, well, turn that back in and we're going to give it to somebody the following year. So that's something that a baseball program can decide. Do they want to have the kid purchase the hat, or do they want to fundraise to pay for those hats? Similar, we're not going to put a kid in a swimsuit and then ask them to turn it back in. Things that we turn back in, for example, football helmets. Now, those have to be reconditioned, shoulder pads, lacrosse helmets. We send those out to be reconditioned so they're fresh and new, even though they are put on somebody's head. Uniform rotation at the high school, every 3 to 4 years. And so that way, every time a kid goes through the high school, they'll either be in a brand new uniform or a relatively new uniform. And when new uniforms are purchased, typically those uniforms are passed down to the JV and freshman levels. To give you an example of a wants versus needs for uniforms, I recently purchased 2 sets of volleyball uniforms for the volleyball team, white and blue. They wanted to have alternate uniforms. They wanted to have a pink uniform for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and then they also asked for a black uniform. So I purchased the uniforms, the athletic department did, and then they fundraised to purchase their wants. So those wants are filled by booster groups and partnerships. Sometimes that's the Doug Adams Trust. Sometimes it's the buck card sale that you're probably seeing going around. So just different ways that our groups bring in revenue. So here's an example of kind of a breakdown of where the money is spent, kind of based on about a $360,000 athletic department budget. A big chunk of that is contracted services. So those are our game officials, those are our workers, those are reconditioned helmets. Okay, that's a contracted service that we have to pay for. So about 45% of that budget is that. Then the next big piece is 28% of that budget is transportation. That's getting our kids safely to and from events. Smaller, but still a good amount of money is supplies and equipment. This is where the money comes from to purchase critical equipment, uniforms, and when there's a surplus, potentially other items for teams. Then a very small portion is entry fees to wrestling tournaments, track tournaments, golf tournaments, things like that. And then your miscellaneous would be like if a team makes it to state, like bowling made it to state this year. So we pay for their hotel, their travel, their meals. If coaches want professional development, that money comes out of that kind of that miscellaneous pot. So where does our revenue come from? Kind of 5 main sources. Obviously, ticket sales from a middle school volleyball game that might bring in $500 to the home opening football game that brings in $25,000. So season all sports passes that will go on sale starting next Monday. There's been an influx of those going up. We'll probably do about $25,000 worth of all sports passes each year. Then advertisements and partnerships. For example, for football games, you will hear the Buccaneers have just entered the Blazing Red Zone. So inside the 20, the local Buffalo Wild Wings has given us a dollar amount for every time we get in there to promote that. And then on the back of our home football game tickets this year, there's a $5 off 25 coupon for Buffalo Wild Wings. So they give money, they see the benefit in partnering with us. Then we sell spots on the scoreboard, and sometimes just donations. U.S. Army donated $2,500 just because he said, I've got some extra money and I want to get rid of it before July 1st. And stopped in my office and I said, you found your guy. So, $2,500 covers basically just varsity football officials for the year. So that may be a small dollar amount to some, but all of it helps. The other thing, probably my second favorite thing to do as an athletic director is host events for the OHSA. So with Xenia's great proximity and great facilities to Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus, we're often asked to host events. So this past year we hosted 25 plus tournament games in basketball, volleyball, baseball, and softball. 2 years ago, we were one of only 2 schools in the state. We hosted a state semifinal football game, and we hosted a state semifinal girls soccer game. So again, it's one of the great proximity, the great facilities, and our workers that put on a good event where people feel comfortable to come back to Xenia. Actually, the last thing is concession sales and revenue. Again, just for example, we bring in about half, if we have a $20,000 gate for football, we'll bring in about $10,000 at the concession stand on Friday nights. So with our partnerships with WeBucks, what I do is each summer I'll meet with all our booster groups and we'll map out a schedule, and you make an X amount of dollar amount, but we have to have workers for each of the concessions. So for example, I need 12 adults to work a Friday night football game from 5:30 to 9 o'clock, and their group makes $750 for that. So at the end of each season, then the WeBucks kind of manage the concessions, and then whatever our revenue is, then they will give checks. And for example, last year, just in the fall, it was an $18,000 check to the athletic department, which then about $9,000 of that was split, and I keep track of what groups worked, middle school, high school, all the sports, and that money then goes to their booster groups. Then the athletic booster groups. The role of the booster group is to enrich student-athlete participation by raising funds, coordinating events, and providing volunteer support to cover expenses that exceed standard school athletic budgets. Just like everything else, everything is more expensive now, so our groups are trying to do more and more to continue to give our kids the same level of expectation and of their sport that they've been getting. So typically referred to as wants. Again, we run a needs-based budget. The wants of an athletic program typically come from the booster group. So our booster monies now are held at Green Giving. So obviously they're their own 501c3, so they kind of manage the money. I kind of oversee just to make sure that we're purchasing things that directly contribute to the kids or to the program. And then obviously the Doug Adams Trust and the Xenia WeBucks Trust have been a great partner to help offset some of those costs for us. Highlights for the year. Again, I'll try to be quick with this, but baseball, boys bowling, girls bowling, comp cheer, football, all captured MVL titles. Boys bowling, Otis Boyette, wrestling, and Corey Pham swimming all qualified for the state OHSA tournament. The comp cheer team captured the D2 Coaches Association state title and qualified for nationals. The varsity football team earned Academic All-Ohio with their 22 starters averaging a 3.65 GPA. And then boys bowling and volleyball were district runner-ups. Senior running back Deontay White broke the school record for career rushing yards and was first team All-State for a second year in a row. And that picture there is our comp cheer team in Gahanna or Olentangy where they won the state title. I mentioned that hosting events for me personally is the second favorite thing. My favorite thing is being able to recognize the achievements of our student athletes. So right here is just a few examples of things we do or that the athletic department does on a daily basis to make sure that our kids are recognized and keep them in the forefront of the community and they know what's going on. So we do a Student Athlete of the Month that's sponsored by the local Edward Jones. Every time we have a student that signs for college, we'll do college signings. We recognize athletic records and milestones. We do alumni updates. State-bound athletes get their own walkout. All league athletes get graphics. We do a game day graphic pretty much every day for every sport so people know, and those are pushed out on our social media platforms, Facebook and our Twitter/X page. Live game updates are done via our social media platforms. And again, especially our football, but our in-game fan experience is absolutely second to none around here in what we provide our fans for the event. So here's just a snippet of some similar things. So senior night for softball on the left, it's a graphic that goes out. The one that says game day, that's just a basic boys basketball had a game, tells you what time they're playing, where they're at. The one on the right is Addie Tate was our student athlete of the month for the Edward Jones Heather Dom group. Otis Boyette captured 100 wins. So we recognize that. Sophomore Max Green qualified for the state indoor meet. And then career touchdowns, there's the graphic I created for Deontay. And then just as simple as bowling was going against Greenville on a whatever day that was, on a Wednesday. And then Sean Fishwick, there's this graphic for when he signed to go to Eastern Michigan. Again, just a few other things. One of the other things, our kids get the best signing day experience from anybody around. They have the video board, all the things. It really is second to none with what they get and the notoriety. One last thing I'll say, this one, I don't know if you saw this, for 1 week in the fall, I did something called Cartoon Series. So when we played at Greenville for football, amazing what you can do with some graphics now. So I would take a regular picture and, for example, touchdown Xenia Gage Stephan, obviously that's a cartoon, but I made all these graphics. So when we scored, they would come out like that. So we had 2 regional qualifiers that week for cross country. So they got a cartoon. That's when volleyball qualified for districts. So just another way that we'll try to be unique and promote our student athletes in a different way that maybe other schools around here are not doing. Then Xenia Athletics opportunities and experiences. The top left-hand corner was our in-school duel that we did in early January or late January, early February, where we did senior day during the school day, and we tied it in with our PBIS program where kids could come watch, and a huge success. Wrestling teams begging for that to happen again. The middle top picture was our first ever comp cheer meet that we hosted, and you can see that was a Sunday, and that's about 10 o'clock in the morning. The place was packed. The far right picture is actually Warner Middle School students at Benner Fieldhouse when our 8th grade played in the finals. And again, obviously Benner's one of my favorite places, but it was a really cool environment. And then the bottom 2 are kind of what we do for our state-bound athletes. We do a clap out where the band leads them around the school, and their classmates can come out, wish them luck, and then we give them a police escort to the city lines to recognize their accomplishments. And again, here's some other things. There's the comp cheer team at Nationals at Disney. The middle picture is a great shot from a football game with the fireworks. And then the baseball team was able to play at Drayton Dragons Stadium. So just very sometimes unique experiences that they may not get to do somewhere else. And again, our student athletes have a long history of success at Xenia High School level and beyond. Just in the last decade, and this rivals Give Me Mason, Give Me Moeller. We've had a state championship bowler. We've had a kid drafted in the baseball draft. We've had 2 kids swim the Olympic trials, one while he was still in school at Xenia, then one who Daniel Mahalski did it twice, 2021 and 24. Mahalski was a national champion at Cedarville, transferred to Indiana where he was an All-American. So I've seen Samari Curtis, winner of Mr. Basketball. There's only been 33 of those ever. We had an All-American wrestler at the college level, Desmond Diggs. And obviously just recently we had Gavin Gearhart drafted in the NFL draft. A 2-time All-American incoming freshman, Kane Lewis. He'll be a freshman. That'll be a name to watch and follow. So we've had student athletes qualify for the state tournament: boys bowling, boys wrestling, boys swimming, girls swimming, track and field. Basically every individual event you can do that. And we've had athletes place at state in boys bowling, boys swimming, and track and field. League titles in basically every sport. Over 100 student athletes have went on to continue their academic and athletic careers at the next level. And then we've added 2 new sports, boys lacrosse, which became permanent in 2023, and then girls wrestling. And we're the only school in the Miami Valley that has boys lacrosse, and it's been Coach Bartley, both Bartleys have done such a great job that we now have a club middle school team, because it's an emerging sport for sure. This number will change a little bit as kids stop participating, but going into this fall, 30 Xenia alumni currently continue their academic and athletic careers in college in 13 different sports across 9 states. And then here's just a snippet of some of our best. And if you're not familiar, top left, that's Daniel Mahalski. The one in the purple jersey, that's Gavin Gearhart, the one just got drafted. Samari Curtis, 2019 Mr. Basketball. Evan Atkins, state champion bowler in 2016. And when he was bowling there, in 2016, he had the all-time record for the highest 3-game series. He bowled a strike in his first game, his first 11 balls. So if you know anything about bowling, 12 was a perfect game. So he tells a great story that after his 9th straight strike at the state meet, to the best bowlers in the state, everybody in the place stopped just to watch him. So 10 and 11 were strikes. And I said, well, what'd you get on 12? He said, 7. So bowled a 297. His second game, his first 10 balls were strikes. And then I said, what'd you get? His 11th one, a 7. So he went on to break the state record. Since it's been passed, but great story, great kid, great family. Bottom left is Kane Lewis. He was in Las Vegas, like he's the one coming up, 2-time All-American, 5th and 7th in Greco and freestyle. Jalen Moore, who plays Division I soccer at, I believe it's Jackson State now. There's Deontay White, our career record holder in rushing. And then Tori McPherson, whose mom teaches at Warner. She was an all-conference softball player at Tiffin this year. And then the last picture, an oldie but a goodie, is Vaughn Brodnick's state champion wrestler, and then played fullback at Ohio State. And I think it was 6 years ago, he was voted the best football player in Ohio State history to ever wear the number 38. So he oftentimes, he's good to come back and do the first game coin flip. Great guy, lives in Indianapolis. And then last but not least, I was able to bring Gavin Gearhart to Rotary 2 weeks ago, just to kind of give him his story, his path. You can see his highlights, his first ever 3-time captain in UC history. He is very well spoken, very appreciative of his time at Xenia. Said, I'm a homebody, I've always been in Xenia, I'll always live in Xenia. So he's getting ready to leave here the next week or so to go to Minnesota and compete for a spot for the Vikings. So that's just kind of a snippet of all the great things going on with the athletic department.
And Nate, can you talk a little bit more about just the partnership with the Doug Adams Trust and the collective impact that partnership has had on our students and our athletic programs over the years?
Yeah. And the start of the trust predates me, but for those of you that don't know, Doug Adams played for Xenia in the early to mid-late 60s, went on to play at Ohio State, was a part of the national championship team with Woody Hayes, went and played for the Cincinnati Bengals, and then died in a tragic biking accident in the early 90s, and I might have that date wrong. His parents lived right behind the stadium, and Mr. Ritchie, you might be able to tell me what year they came, and they said, we would like to start Xenia Schools. That's been so beneficial for Doug. He was very fortunate, and we would like to start a trust in his name. My understanding is the initial dollar amount was $1 million, and since then an additional $1 million has been put in, and obviously with it's being managed in a money market. So over $2 million over the course of 2 decades has went to directly impact our kids. And for example, the scoreboards, the baseball and softball scoreboards. We need a safe environment for the kids to play in, but we don't, an inning by inning scoreboard would be more of a want than a need. So the trust gave money for that. Obviously, the name of the stadium is Doug Adams Stadium, and I think it was an initial $250,000 donation to get the turf started in 2015. So, for example, then the comp cheer team, and I learned something about cheerleading when we qualified for nationals is you can't wear your uniform that you won the state championship in to nationals. When I say you can, but they just don't do that. So they had to get new uniforms, and they had to pay for flights and all those things. So the trust stepped up and they put in a bill for all brand-new comp uniforms for nationals. And still my understanding that I'm not sure we get to wear those again. I think that's a one-time thing, so that's okay. We'll find a way. We'll do a second comp cheer. We'll host another one because obviously those uniforms are expensive. But the trust has had their hands. They've helped out with band. They've helped out with Mr.
Science.
Ritchie and
Yeah, they helped us with science equipment one
Yep.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, so even though initially it was tailored toward athletics, they've been able to spread their tentacles a little bit and help everybody. And for sure, since I've been here, they've helped every athletic program. And that's, Pete Steffen's kind of the gatekeeper of that, and him and I work great. And, my coaches kind of know, like, if I can't do it, we'll figure out a way. Just let me and Pete work through it, because he does get asked for a lot. But it's been a great partnership. A lot of times, some of my AD buddies were like, well, you got that trust, and everybody, it's perfect, right? Because we have something that nobody else has. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't at least touch on the Wee Bucks, which is one of the best run businesses in Xenia, and they have set up their trust, and they are helping. They want to help out with some track equipment. They purchased $13,000 worth of cheer tumbling mats 4 or 5 years ago or 3 years ago. So both of those groups have been instrumental in helping offset the cost of the burdens of, giving our kids a first-rate experience at the high school level.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Kopp?
Just one question, sir, for my own curiosity and sake. How many years of use do you get out of the average football uniform before it has to be replaced?
So, great question. Actually, the football uniforms are actually a lot older than some of our other uniforms. So we have 3 sets of football uniforms. Again, we need a home and away. A want would be a third or alternate uniform. So the black uniforms were purchased in 2019. So they're going to go on their 7th year of use. And then the white and blue are going to both be going on their 4th year. So, and that is a big expense, and a lot of times, again, because I have good relationship, good partnership with the Touchdown Club, when we bought the white and the blue, they bought the pants, I believe, going off memory, I bought the jerseys. So it helped offset the cost. And again, I would say in-game experience. Now, the helmets were purchased, a second set of helmets was purchased by the trust. But 3 sets of uniforms, 2 helmets, we spread those out. That actually extends the life of those uniforms. Those black uniforms in 6 years have probably only been worn 9 or 10 times. So the white has to be worn, at least the jersey, away. But by having an extra set of uniforms, especially in a football situation where there's wear and tear, an extra set of uniforms actually extends the life of those uniforms.
Thank you very much.
I just want to make a comment. I'm impressed by many things. One of the things that I'm impressed with is your enthusiasm for what you do. And I'm also impressed by your wants and needs things. That is a life lesson that kids need to learn across the board. So I'm impressed. Great job.
I have a couple questions. First of all, I just need to comment on the picture with Von Broadnax. We graduated together and we were good friends. And, he was a great athlete. And I was like, So one year my sister said, you should go out for wrestling. I was like, oh, okay, I'll try that. Well, Vaughn and I wrestled the same weight class. Let's just say I never wrestled a varsity meet. And he liked grinding my face in the mat. And I was like, okay, Vaughn, ease up. All right. Number one, would you share that presentation with us?
Yes.
Could you? Okay. Now
I have it in a hard copy, but I can also send it to you electronically.
Yeah, that would be good. Thanks. Now you mentioned, I didn't know what you meant. You said the season all sports passes. There's an influx of those. Do you mean a higher demand?
Yeah, and I think what has happened after COVID, I think people are just kind of looking where they can get the most bang for their buck. And $250 to get in, ticket prices have gone up, and that's not something we set. Those ticket prices are set by the league. So I think I've pushed to try to, hey, get it now. So I think people have realized that this $250 is a lot better than me spending $36 every Friday night at home games, and then, $32 to get into basketball games.
Okay. And when it comes to uniforms, you said every 3 to 4 years, that's across the board. Every sport.
That's high school, yes.
Yeah.
That's high school. So like I said, yes, there is a rotation. So, and I, to be transparent, I talked to football like, hey, you're about up. And it's also interesting as you're on this side of it, we typically get Nike uniforms, and, Nike is a multi-billion-dollar business for a reason. We get these uniforms, and then you can't get, after 2 years, you can't buy the same uniform, or you can't get the one that looks similar. So football has kind of just said, hey, we like our setup now, because if we get, we're probably not gonna buy 3 sets right away. We would do 1 set of uniforms. So yes, it is across the board where it is a 3 to 4 time rotation. So, for example, baseball got new uniforms last year from me, and he decided they wanted alternate uniforms, or if you're a baseball guy, they have these things called City Connect uniforms, like the Reds wear all black on Friday nights, I think it is. So he got all black uniforms that said X-Town, so that's kind of our City Connect, again, something unique for our kids, but that was a want, not a need, so that purchase came through the booster group.
Okay. And back in the day, they used to ask the board to work a football game concession stand. If
Are
you
you
ever need it. Pardon?
So are you volunteering?
Oh, I would volunteer. Yeah.
I'll sign you up on a day, I'm sure.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Do you have a question?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think some of the questions had originally come up asking about costs for various sports, including, you talked about it with cheer and, how they have like 4 or 5 different uniforms, and we only are able, only able to supply the needs and the 1 uniform per year and such. So I think all the questions have been answered.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Kopp. Thank you. Awesome.
And I would just like to say in retrospect, welcome to Xenia, or back to Xenia, Mr. Newport.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Okay, next we're going to move on to agenda item number 5, the Treasurer's Financial Report for the month ending June 30th, 2026.
Do you want to do a first and second?
Sure.
Or do you want me to dive right in?
No, we'll go ahead and approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, so
Mr. Day first, Mr. Cox second.
First from Mr. Day, second from Mr. Cox on the floor, and I'll go ahead and jump in. This is an exciting one because at this point, you don't have any roller coaster of the fiscal year in terms of timing when property tax values come in, the books are closed, and you get, I think, the best snapshot of how you've done not only for the whole year compared to your latest financial forecast, but you also get to see the diversification of our income in terms of what comes from local, what comes from the state, and how it affects the general fund. You get the most, I'd say, reliable data here because, again, when we look at the financial reports in the next couple of months, you're going to have just a few months of state payments coming in, but you'll have your first property tax payment coming in. So it kind of skews it as you go throughout the year. So when you get to the end, it evens things out nicely. So let's jump right in. Compared to our last financial forecast in February, we're at 100.3% of revenue, so just a little bit over what we expected to bring in. In terms of expenditures, we're about 96.6% of what we expected to spend in our general fund budget there. And you can see where the investment balances are at the end of the month. And again, we'll have our next financial forecast next month at the August board meeting. And we'll get the July financial report that'll be aligned to that as well. So we'll be well into fiscal 27 by that point. Here we take a deep dive look into all the different types of revenue. Again, you're going to find on the first page of the financial report, they're going to be grouped into broad categories based on the latest financial forecast. And here you've got much more finer detail of the different types of revenue that comes into the general fund. There you can see our comparison graph that we have been using to see how we are doing as we go throughout fiscal 26. Flip the coin over to the expenditure side with 100% of the fiscal year under our belt. We have got 80.86. So why the difference between almost 81% there versus the almost 97% on the front page? The front page is set to our forecast, which is what we expect to spend as a budget. deeper into the report at fiscal year end, you set all the funds to what the board's level of spending is, the appropriation level. And we've talked about that before. There's usually a small amount of contingency between what the board says, yes, you've got this authority to spend and make available in the budget, versus what we actually intend to spend. That just provides a little bit of cushion, if you will, for contingency. A boiler goes out, some other type of problem like that may occur. So that's the difference between those percentages there. Again, here we've got our expenditures for the general fund. You can see how those compared to where we thought we would be at the end of the year. And then we will look across all of our funds here. Again, those are all set to be equal to what the board's level of appropriation is in all the different funds that we had throughout fiscal year 26. And then I've got a summary of all the transfers that were made from fund to fund. As a reminder, you've given me board authority at the January board meeting to make fund-to-fund transfers as needed, then notify you at the next board meeting. I've done that. I just kind of tighten things up for the whole year and kind of put a bow on it at the end to put them all on one summary slide there. So those are those. The new ones that happened during the month of June would only be the bottom couple. That is where we take money that is brought in from the tournaments. It has to live in a special account, the O22, until the end of the year when we close the books and say, okay, how much do we owe to OHAA? How much do we spend on tournament workers specifically? And then whatever dollars are left over from those tournaments get moved over to the athletics fund there. So as we take a year-end review look of all of fiscal year 26, again, these are the same graphs that are in the monthly financial report, but I want to highlight them here because it gives you, I think, one of the best, if you really want to know where's the money coming from, where's the money going, look at your June 30th fiscal year-end graphs, and you've got a really good picture with an entire year all in one chart. And you can see there property taxes bring in about a little over 38%. You've got your personal utility property tax, so think about the utilities and the taxes they pay, right under 3%. Income tax, 9.5%, and then you've got state money, whether it's coming in for school funding or it's where they pick up their portion of property taxes like the homestead and other rollbacks. You can see how that is. As we look at the year, what are kind of the big things that have been happening there? We've continued our push to continue moving forward with as many ACH, that's electronic direct deposit versus printing and then mailing a paper check. So from fiscal 25 to 26, we went up from 76% ACH to 85% on average. That's 216 fewer paper checks. Again, my whole goal has been that it's more cost effective to make a direct deposit versus printing it, ink, postage, and then managing to make sure that, hey, did this check, was it cashed by the appropriate person? Could it have been intercepted in the mail? We have lots of security things in place for that to keep things on the up and up. But again, putting the money directly in, just like all employees are on direct deposit, we're moving to put as many vendors as possible on direct deposit as well. On the credit card side, you can see there comparing what we put out in terms of accounts payable. So that's where a vendor presents an invoice. We pay them a little bit more than 6,000 invoices processed last year. On the credit card, about 1,500. Again, it's the exact same purchasing process. It still has to be approved, go on a requisition, make a purchase order. All the documentation has to be there. It's more for convenience. Let's say that a building needs to go out and they need a supply for school the next day. They don't have time to order it, and it's something fresh, like they're going to have a reception and they'd like to have cookies for parent-teacher conference night, something like that. You wouldn't necessarily want to order that or have that stale. You'd want something kind of fresh there. So those would be good examples of good use for credit card there. And we've managed about $3.2 million of grants during fiscal 2026. So moving on again, we can look at expenditures in a couple different ways. We'll look at those in both of these slides here. One is by the function. So think of the function as what is it that we're hoping to accomplish? What's being taken care of versus objects, which will be in the next slide, which is what is actually being purchased. Are you paying someone's salary, paying for insurance and retirement benefits, paying for purchase services like electricity? And you can see there the bulk of ours is almost 60% on instruction, another 10% on pupil support, 2.3 on instructional support. So vast majority of that is going to be for supporting students in the classroom. You've also got that same thing going on with transportation. It's moving kids, to and from school, as well as maintenance and operations, keeping them in warm, safe, dry buildings. And we can also look at the expenditures by objects. You can see about 56.4%, in salaries, about 21% in benefits, and some smaller percentages for supplies and equipment. Any questions that I can answer for you about the June 30th, 2026 financial report? Not nearly as excited as you were for athletics.
Oh, we're excited. Under general fund expenditure by object,
Yes.
the equipment was three,
Yes.
I mean, I know equipment's pretty unpredictable, but
So
what
equipment's unpredictable for a couple of reasons. One, you might have a piece of equipment that goes out. Two, depending on the quantity and the amount of equipment, it may need to be changed from a 500, which is a supplies, to an equipment object for the purposes of inventory for the annual financial reports, in which case it goes from one bucket to the next.
which is why the big increase there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for asking.
Any other questions for Mr. Massey?
I
No?
don't think so.
No? Okay.
All right, so I've got a
Roll call.
first on the floor from Mr. Day, a second from Mr. Cox to approve the June 2026 financial report. Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes,
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, we'll move on to number 6, Dr. Lofton's updates for July.
I do not have a report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number 7, closing items. Any announcements, Mrs. Williams? We'll just go around the table.
No.
Okay. Mr. Cox?
Not tonight.
Okay. I would just like to say, I know Mr. Cox attended one night to our church's Celebrate America 250, but people love the Xenia High School Big Band. They played every night for half an hour. And every night, we would have crowds of like 500 to 700, but people would say, now they're really from a high school, not from a college? And Mr. Sell really works them. Anyway, and I noticed on Cox today, I told Mr. Vandergrift this, the new blue looks really good. I don't know if you guys have noticed on the elementaries, they're getting rid of the faded blue and putting up, And then Mrs. Williams, Mr. Cox, and I spent perhaps the hottest day of the summer at the city's July 4th, what's it called?
White block party?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It was about 105 degrees, I think, feel. We had a little board table there.
My wife calls it an average day in Alabama.
Oh. So anyway, that's all I have. Mr. Day?
I think I have there's no updates on the city side. We had the block party and the fireworks show, which was excellent, and I don't think there's any major activities coming up. I will, though, read real quick for the record. George Leitenheimer sent his summary on the Greene County Career Center, so I'll just read his message. He wasn't able to be here tonight, but he said that I'd like to thank us once again for allowing me to continue serving as your representative on the Greene County Career Center Board of Education. It's an honor to represent our district, and I appreciate your continued trust and support. So I want to share a few updates on the Greene County Career Center. Effective July 1st, our longtime superintendent, Mr. Deskins, transitioned into a new role as the Executive Director of Advancement. This newly created position will focus on fundraising and developing partnerships to support the continued growth of GCCC. As we all know, school funding can be unpredictable, so this position will allow us to proactively seek donations and cultivate relationships with individuals, businesses, and community partners who are willing to invest in career and technical education. With Mr. Deskins' transition, I am pleased to announce that Mr. Brian McKnight has been appointed as the new superintendent of the Greene County Career Center. Brian has served for many years and brings a wealth of experience and leadership to the role. I'm confident he'll continue the strong tradition of excellence that has been established at GCCC. I also wanted to highlight several exciting developments over the past year. Thanks to a generous donor, we have doubled the size of our welding program, allowing us to serve more students and better meet workforce demands. In addition, Greene County Career Center recently purchased 24 acres of property across the road from campus. We are currently evaluating the best ways to utilize this land to support future expansion and educational opportunities. At this time, I do not have finalized enrollment numbers for the upcoming school year, as enrollment is still being completed. I will provide a full enrollment update during the August board meeting. As always, if you have any questions or would like additional information about the Greene County Career Center, please feel free to contact me by email, phone, or text. I'm always happy to help. So that's from George, our representative to the Greene County Career Center Board. And that's it.
Okay. I did want to say, I meant to say this earlier, but I know a couple of the other board members went to see this movie. My wife and I went, I don't know if anybody has seen the movie Young Washington, which was excellent, about our first president, George Washington. And several things, as a public school teacher, I just want to say, several things really made me think. But one point that stood out was the fact that when George's dad passed away, he was 11 years old, and he was no longer able to continue his formal education. It was cut short due to family finances and circumstances. He was, of course, tutored privately. He was our only founding father who did not attend college. But I just thought about now what opportunity kids have in America. While in the classroom of a public school for 37 years, every August was I didn't know who would be sitting in my classroom when school started. And I know as a Christian, I used to pray every year for each student that would come into my classroom, and I would have a positive influence. So I just think the power of public education is that we serve any and every student who walks through our doors. And that's the beauty of public education. It's the cornerstone of our democracy, I feel like. And I'm just proud to call myself a public school teacher and supporter. So that movie, when Washington's education was cut short, I was like, it's a good thing we don't do that in America anymore. Absolutely. All right. We are going to convene or go to recess for executive session at this time to discuss legal. So,
Motion.
a motion to, sure.
Yeah, do you want, I'll motion to
Okay.
recess.
And I'll
for
second.
executive session.
Roll call.
All right, so motion to recess to executive session at 7:21 PM. A first by Mr. Day, a second by Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right, at this time, it's 7:52 PM, Monday, July 13th, and I'm calling the meeting to convene. Okay? All right, we are going to vote now to adjourn the meeting tonight. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Cox, second.
Second.
Mrs. Williams, second.
All right, so a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:52 PM, a first by Mr. Cox, a second by Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.